Hello, and welcome to another thrilling episode of Prog Review. And the mob has spoken. The mob, all 126 of them, the votes have been counted. And the next album up to review is, well, look at that, it's a tie between Songs for Drella and The Pearl by Harold Budd and Brian Eno. So, as Songs for Drella is the first one up, I'm going to review that. And then I'm going to review The Pearl. All right, thank you for voting. Thank you for voting. And I am including Songs for Drella in Prog Review. Why is that? Because it's a song cycle. You could say it's a concept album. Originally released on April the 11th, 1990. What you've got on this is you can actually see Andy Warhol's face. It's a song cycle about the life and times of Andy Warhol. With Lou Reed and John Cale of the Velvet Underground, who was produced and the artwork was done by Andy Warhol. You can see there's a link there. He's the big man, brought them together and gave them that iconic album sleeve for the first Velvet Underground album. Again, Andy Warhol died in 1987 during surgery, and here we are. We have this great album. It was commissioned and first performed in 1989, and then it got released in vinyl. But I remember, again, this is where you do you bring your personal bit in. I remember watching a performance of the whole album. In fact, that was actually, I think that was released on video. But I remember watching it on the BBC, and it's Lou Reed and John Cale sitting opposite each other, and they play the whole thing. And I remember it all went in. The songs went in. And here we are. So when this was reissued for, I think it was Record Store Day, not sure when, a few years back, I bought the album, and I revisited the whole lot. Again, it's a sparse arrangement. 15 tracks, originally split over 2 sides, but in this it's 3 sides. I don't know why. The 4th side is an etched picture of Andy Warhol. We'll do a show and tell. It's 52 minutes 54. It doesn't feel like that. I think it goes pretty quickly, and it's a fictional account. Lou Reed describes this as a fictional account of Andy Warhol's life, but it takes certain parts. There is some reality in this, from him drawing shoes to his cultural background to being shot, setting up the factory, the resentment he had, there's lots going on, how he felt when he was ill. It tells his story, but I think maybe there's a little bit of artistic license in there, and that's why Lou Reed describes it as a fictional account. But if you listen to it, at face value, I think it brings you a little bit closer to Andy Warhol and his story, and it also serves, its main function is to serve as a tribute. Lou Reed's tribute to it. Again, John Cale described as being allowed on the album. Lou Reed was very generous in allowing him to partake. They'd fallen out. The Velvet Underground. I think this is the first time that they'd worked together in that period. I don't know how many years that would have been. Not 20 years. Yeah, 20 years. 16. Yeah, about that. So it was a big thing back then that those two artists worked together. And subsequently after this, if my memory is correct, Velvet Underground themselves reformed in 93. Again, remember seeing that performance on the television, and then split up again. So, but yeah, it's a very, I think it's a very intimate album. You know, Lou Reed there is, you know, it's mainly Lou Reed telling the story. John Cale does, you know, a few tracks. Style It Takes, Trouble with Classicists, which I find very funny. Faces and Names. There's a letter or a diary entry. I think it's a diary entry that John Cale reads out, which again, Andy Warhol is actually, you know, talking about a meeting that he has with John Cale and how John Cale's been a bit ratty to him, which is amusing. And again, for John Cale to actually read it out for the performance. Again, of course, this isn't for everyone. I think you've got to like the legend of Andy Warhol. Again, I find him a fascinating character. Again, there are many people that balk at his art because he's the guy that, you know, came up with the factory, and, you know, the idea of making people stars and making art, you know, rather than art being a thing. He turned art into a process, which we've latterly seen, you know, with, what's his name? Who cut the cow in half? That fella. Brain fart. It's like, you know, I'm old. Now I'm going to have to type man who cut cow in half. You know, shall I do that? Because you're all going to mention it in the comments. Man who cut cow in half. Damien Hirst. Oh, damn, I knew it was in there. Damien Hirst. I didn't even enter it into Google. Just my brain is like rice pudding these days. It's not as sharp as it used to be. I think I've got early onset dementia. You didn't notice. Damien Hirst, again, he kind of took that on from Andy Warhol. Oh boy. And yeah, it's good because you do get Reed's snarl, because again he says how the surgeons, where the bullet, you know, because he was shot, where the bullet, you know, couldn't kill him, you know, the surgeons killed him later. He blames the medical profession for killing Andy Warhol, and it's a very intimate performance. The songs too. This is not sophisticated by any means. It's the lyrics that do all the heavy lifting here. The music is just, you know, it's just there, but it's the words and the delivery that is the key to all of this. And I think it's a stunning work. I really do. I really think it's really strong. Like I said, I only saw it once back in the day, and the second time I heard it was when I bought the record. But I knew it. It was in me. You know, it was in me. I'd absorbed it. Like the opening track, Small Town, it's only 2 minutes long, but it delivers its message like a missile, like a laser guided missile. And I think it's, you know, I think it's a really, really good record. In the UK, it even managed to hit number 22 in the chart, whereas in the US it only made 103. Can you believe that? So I remember it being on the shelves back in the day. I think I might have bought it in the 90s. Again, I have a bit of a problem, like I said, my memory. Maybe I did buy it, because I remember seeing it, but I can't remember if I did buy it. There's a part of me thinks that I didn't, but then I know it really well, so it couldn't have been that I just saw it once. Maybe I did buy it and I sold it, but it kind of went in. Because, you know, listening to it again, like I said, it was like I knew the record, I knew it very well. Do you ever get that? Do you ever get that now, that maybe you haven't listened to a record in years, and then you put it on and you know it really well? Maybe that's what I'm suffering from. Anyway, this was released in Record Store Day, and as you can see, they've done a nice bit of superimposition there of Andy Warhol. It's kind of textured. It's kind of, you know, textured printing technique, and yeah, it's black on black. They've gone full Spinal Tap there with the yeah. But yeah, they turned it into a double album, which is nice. And there is an insert with which we can sing along and read the lyrics. I'm sure you'll all want to do that. And like I said, it was Record Store Day, 30th anniversary edition, and 180 grams. a vinyl limited to 8,500 copies. And there's the Record Store Day sticker. So it's just standard one, but the final disc, or side of the final side, what I should say, has the etching, which there we go. Can you see that? Here you go. It has an etching of Andy Warhol to mimic the actual sleeve art, which is rather cool. Yeah, it's. I think it's a really good record. I would recommend you all check it out, even if you don't like Lou Reed, or you're not a big fan of John Cale, or you can't stand Andy Warhol, because it is a song cycle that tells a story, and it doesn't hang around. It doesn't take ages. It tells the story succinctly and with purpose, and really great record. I think it made an impression on me, and it's one of those unusual things. Like I said, I saw it on the TV, was kind of knocked back by it, and then revisiting all those years later, it was good. And again, I listened to it again today before recording this, and I think it's really good. And again, well, Lou Reed's, I know, hanging around with Andy Warhol now, so that's it. Anyway, thank you for for watching this. That's the review. I'll be doing the poll next. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's only one more thing left to say, and that is prog on.